Yes, ma'am.
I had a video of myself being wrapped up in the sari, but I figured that you've already seen that before, so it wasn't going to be that interesting to you. So we just have a couple people today. Good morning, good evening. Siobhan, do you want to read the first one?
Yes, ma'am. Sunya. How now the hotel with the 100 Huns
Sunny,
fabric
who owns the hotel?
owns the hotel with her husband Hans
Anu.
Hanu. Hanu sells fabric saris and another cloth for the store she runs inside the hotel. The women in our group were each encouraged to select a sari, and then Sonia and another woman decided us in the beautiful fabric.
Dressed us in the beautiful fabrics.
Right.
Yep, dressed us. Just remember when you're reading something, if you're reading it and it doesn't make sense, just take an extra second and look at the word again. That's how we all learn. I'm still learning words. Okay, there's most of our group in our saris.
Yeah.
That was a really nice experience for us. Okay, next slide.
In USA, ma'am, actually no one wears sari. No American.
No.
It's not a culture there.
I've never seen anyone in the US in a sari.
Even.
So it was very interesting because inside this hotel, Sunny, who's the wife of the owner, she has a little shop, and women from the village come in to buy fabrics and buy saris from her. So she let us go into her shop, and we each got to pick a sari, and then she and her assistant wrapped us, dressed us in the saris. So, and they told us stories about, people that wear them and when they wear them, and of course we all chose the fancy ones. So we can go to the next slide. Manav.
Joan is also joining now.
Oh, good. Manav, would you read this one, please?
Yes. We visit Silver Jain temple on our trip, including this one is the village of Kambharia. It is one of 5 Jain temples located in around the village. The 5 temples were
constructed
concentrated between the 11 and 13th centuries.
Are you all familiar with the Jain religion? Is that something that's common there?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we were told, that it was most of the followers of that religion are there in India, but there's many in the US and Canada and England as well.
Yeah.
Morning, Miss Sue.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Okay, next slide. Shivansh, would you read one of these paragraphs, please?
What,
Ma'am,
ma'am?
Ma'am, can I read first one?
Sure.
The temple are known for their elaborate architecture. wait. Architecture. Where it is
Architecture. Architecture.
architecture. The craft arches of the where it is of
Ceiling.
the ceiling are sturdy.
Stunning.
Shivansh, you're up for this next
Yes.
one then.
Ma'am, should I read?
Yes, you should, please.
It is said that 360 temples existed at one time, but most were destroyed by earthquake active and only 5 remain.
Earthquake.
The word after earthquake is activity. Can you look at that and sound that out? Activity.
Activity.
In the picture, the one on the left is of course, the main view looking outside, and then the one on the right is the close-up of that same area.
Ma'am, in this left side photo is there. Ma'am, what is there in that left side photo? Will zoom. What is there? That black.
This
It is a
one.
monkey.
No, somebody.
Yes.
Some human, I think.
I think somebody left something there. I didn't even notice that in my picture. Good eyes.
No, but their hands are there, I think.
I think some women.
Somebody left something. Oh, Sartak is here. Good morning or good evening, Sartak. Okay, next. Have any of you been to temples that are decorated like this, where they've carved the marble?
Yes.
I've never seen anything like that before. Just to think of some person, and I'm guessing it was probably a man, because a long time ago that was the most common, that a man would do this work. That, 1,000 years ago, someone was doing that without a machine, a huge piece of marble, and creating all those curly cues, and there's little tiny statues of gods and people in there. Okay, next slide.
Wow.
Bartok, would you read this one, please?
Yes, ma'am. Imagine being a stone carver 1000 years ago, working with primitive tools to create masterpieces of slabs of marble.
Just beautiful.
So small miniature work also, see here.
Yes,
How tiny. In those days, there were no modern technology, tools were not available. Only with hammer and the chisel, they used to do all this. They were carving the stone like they are playing with clay or something.
Okay, next slide. Shivansh, would you read this, please?
Yes, ma'am. The
exterior
of the exterior.
You got it.
The exterior of the temples was just as elaborate as the
Interior.
All of the Jain temples were surrounded by the protective wall
Courtyard.
The temples have all undergone repair,
Renovations.
renovations and modifications.
You can see they must have been cleaning the temple, and they didn't get to that one in the middle. It didn't get cleaned. And you can see also it was added, it must have been added in, because if you look at that, see how it's higher, the bottom part, not the part that's blackened, but the bottom part, see how it goes up higher than the other ones?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not the same. So that maybe that one that was that's blackened, maybe that was damaged at some time and it's been replaced, and it's just not exactly the same as the other ones.
When I'm looking at this piece of reading, I'm seeing an opposite. And I know when I'm trying to memorize new words or new language, opposites are a nice place for them in my brain. Interior means inside, exterior. So they're opposites. So the interior, you're going in, seeing the inside of the building, and the exterior. So you order language that we might not use every single day if we're talking, but it's academic language that we're definitely going to use if we are speaking or describing something on a more professional level. So interior, exterior.
Miss Sue, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, you know why? I'll tell you why. Because I had my microphone was on my phone and it was on the, yeah, it was covered. So I was just saying the interior and exterior are opposites, and they're more of a professional language. Rather, if we're talking, we say the inside of a building and the outside of the building, but interior and exterior are more professional language, and they're very good to memorize and to know.
How tall do you think those are? Can you see any people in that? I don't think you can see people in that picture. I'll tell you, they were very, very tall. Very, very tall. Above our heads.
I think one of the other words in that passage that kind of stands out to me is elaborate, elaborate. And if you're talking if you're talking about architecture and you're talking about buildings and carvings, an elaborate carving would be something with lots and lots of detail. Interesting enough, that word, you can pronounce it differently in English, and it's elaborate. And when you elaborate something, it's no longer a adjective describing a person, place, or thing. It's actually elaborate is a verb. So right now I'm elaborating. I'm telling more details about something. So it's spelled the same. English can be so confusing sometimes because it's spelled the same, but in this case it's pronounced differently and used differently.
Another time we might use the word elaborate is talking about hairstyles. If you see someone that has a really fancy, intricate hairstyle, we might say that was an elaborate hairstyle. You might see some famous musicians or dancers or singers, or sometimes when people come out of the beauty salon, they might have a super fancy hairdo. That would be considered elaborate, because there's
or when we
detail.
like when you go and see dancers and they've got costumes on that just every little detail is just stunning and beautiful. It's an elaborate costume.
Or a wedding cake.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this is a long one, so I think we're gonna split this one up. Who is next? I think it's Manav. Manav, would you read just the first two sentences, please?
What, ma'am?
Would you read the first two sentences on the left-hand side, please?
Acha. We stopped in the town of Ambaji and walked around the street market.
Next one, the next sentence also, please.
A poster march was taking place.
Protest march.
protest march was taking place with the music and speakers, broadcast for all the here. The people were posting against belong.
Okay, okay, thank you for reading those. That was the people were protesting against begging. Do you know the word protest? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give you another word you hadn't heard before. A protest is when you're exhibiting that you're unhappy with something. So in this case, there were a lot of people, probably hundreds of people, that were marching together in the street, and they were waving flags, and also the people that were talking on the microphone were all saying that they did not want people to be beggars. I thought that was very unusual because there was many people that were begging there. I thought that was unusual. I wouldn't have thought that that was a topic that someone would protest against. A lot of times it's more common to protest against maybe prices being raised. If some place raises prices a lot, people might protest. Or if the government enacts a brand new law that people aren't happy with, they might protest. They might gather somewhere and make noise and hold up signs telling other people their viewpoint, that they're unhappy about something. So that's what these people were doing. It was in a street market, and in the main street, everybody just cleared aside, and literally hundreds of people were marching because for some reason they all believed in this one cause, and they had all come together to show other people that they believed that there should not be begging in this certain part of town. Have you ever seen a protest before in your country?
Yes.
Where a group of people have come together to show that they're unhappy and they want a
Yes.
change to happen?
When the people raise their voices against some authority, on the road, they come in a huge crowd like a mob, and then they raise the slogans. That is called procession. Sometime due to the hike in the petrol prices, sometime due to many reasons. So,
Okay. Who was next? Oh, Viraj. Would you like to start off in the middle where it says, I must admit?
from here,
Yes, Viraj?
Viraj.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, start reading from here. I must admit. Your voice is breaking, Viraj. Your audio is not clear.
Ma'am, can I read?
Children beginning very aggressive, working in small groups, visitor in. Then they all started jabbing the person with their pointer finger, asking for money. I decided to try any Indian snack food, masala punch flavored potato chips. Price 6 cents. My opinion, not great. I didn't finish the package.
Okay. Was everyone able to hear that? Manab, would you like to read it again since we didn't hear all of it?
Means from I must that one.
Yes.
Yes.
I must admit the children beginning there were
Begging.
there were very aggressive, working in small groups to pen a visitor in a visitor in they in then they all started jabbing the person with their points finger, asking for money. Ma'am, can I read this one also? Yeah.
Sure.
I described to try an Indian snack food masala punch flavor potato chips. Ma'am, after that also, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yes, you can finish it.
Potato price 6 cents. 6 cents. My opinion not great. I didn't finish the package.
Let's go back to the other part where I said the children were working in small groups to pen a visitor in. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Do you know the word pen? Not pen like you write with, but we think of a pen like a corral or an enclosure. Like we might say, we put the dog in his pen.
Mhm.
So what I meant here was the children would come up to people, 4 or 5 children together, and they would make a circle with their bodies all around one of the people in our group or some of the other tourists. So they would just come and enclose us. They would pen us in as if they were the pen, they were the fencing around us. And then they would jab us with their pointer finger. They would jab us to get their attention. And I've not seen that before here in the United States when people are begging for money. They just ask for money or talk to us, but usually they don't touch us. So that was something that I thought was different, that I wanted to remember about this trip, because that's why I went on the trip, to learn about different countries. I liked how my potato chips matched my shirt.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I'm wondering, as the people that are leaders in the city, they obviously want to have guests, and you wouldn't want to treat your guests that way. You'd want to protect your guests from being touched unnecessarily. So perhaps it wasn't so much against begging, but perhaps it was the idea that they were being so aggressive and hurt, basically scaring people, making them a little uncomfortable.
I was actually a little uncomfortable because this one group of children, and they were pretty small children, not old enough to go to school yet. And so you would think that me as an adult would not be scared of a group of small children, but they just followed me for a block in the market, quite a ways. And I could not get off by myself. They wouldn't leave me. So I just hurried up and went. I saw my tour guide. So I just went and put my arm through his arm and told him that I was uncomfortable because the children were just around me. I could hardly walk. And so he just turned and said something to them, and they left.
Yeah. And I know that it's not in other countries that we visit, like in France, for instance, because I've been studying French, at subway platforms, at places where there are a lot of tourists, they work in groups. And so I think that people that are the leaders of the cities oftentimes will want to discourage things that could lead to theft or that sort of thing, not against a beggar, because we all want to help the people that are less fortunate. But I think that as leaders, we have to address these things. Yeah.
It definitely happens everywhere. I know I'm going to Egypt and Morocco next month, and I understand it's very common there also.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide. The gentleman on the left with the hat. I'm sorry, right. The gentleman on the right with the hat is our tour guide.
That's a great hat. I like that.
Yeah.
He would stand out in a crowd. You'd be looking for the hat.
Yep. Viraj, would you read the next? Or Shivant, yes, Shivant, it's you can take this
Yes,
one.
yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness, both of you. How about Viraj? Why don't you read it first, and then Shivant can read it afterwards.
Explained many food items that we were not familiar with. Indian folks were very interested in observing and interesting with our group of all Caucasians men, both children and adults approached our group to ask if they could get a picture with us girls.
Okay.
I love that you included some American slang in there, that last word with us gals. Oftentimes maybe, do you know what that might mean with us gals? It's slang.
Anybody want to guess what that means? When it says us, so I was writing it and I wrote us. So that would mean me and some other people, me and the women in our tour group. And do you know the word gals? Gals is a very Miss Sue, what's the word I'm looking for? A very casual word for girls or women. It's usually a casual word for women friends.
Mm-hmm. And the nice part about that's so interesting is because when we think of the word girls, we think of people probably, 12 years of age and under. But in America, we would refer to us gals, even if you're a senior citizen or a grandmother, or you could say, I'm going out with the girls. It's a friendly way of referring to women friends.
Okay, did someone else want to read the same one?
Who wants to read this?
Yes, you can do it.
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please.
Our guide explained many food items that we were not familiar with. Indian folks were very interested in observing and interacting with our group of all Caucasian women. Both children and adults approached our group to ask if they could get a picture with us girls.
Thank you. Let's look at one more word, excuse me, in the fourth line, the second word, folks. That's another casual way to refer to a group of people. So I could have said, people from India were very interested in observing and interacting with us. But I said Indian folks, meaning just everybody, not just business people, not just children, everybody. So that's why I wrote Indian folks. It's just a casual term for people.
And you would not use the word folks if you're talking about royalty. Folks means common people, just everybody.
Can anyone tell what our tour guide is holding there?
Ferdinand,
Can you tell what our tour guide is holding in his hand? What that food is he's talking to us about?
I think it is a kind of spices that we use in the cooking, I think.
I wrote down that it was like moss that grows on a tree, but I didn't put it in this presentation because I wasn't sure if that was really true.
It may be the cover of the tamarind, maybe.
Ah.
Because in the cooking we use the tamarind also. Sometimes we use curd, sometimes we use the tamarind.
Okay. All right.
I think it is tamarind.
Okay. The gentleman on the left in the white is the guy that ran that stand. So I thought it was interesting. His face, you can see he's very interested in what our tour guide is telling us.
Mm.
He's looking at him very carefully, maybe learning from him, or I'm not sure.
And it's so interesting because as you talk in your casual way, Ma'am Lisa. You're referring to the man in the left hand as the guy. And guys and gals, folks, those are just ways of talking about men and women and people that you'll hear in a real casual way, in a very casual way.
I didn't even realize I said that.
We
It's
slip
natural.
into it. And I think it's worth pointing out, because we are in this club, to be able to understand maybe not the British English. I'm not sure in Britain if they would say guys and gals, but it's the American slang.
Mhm. Okay, next slide.
Wow.
And who is next? I guess it's Manav.
Last 1 minute is left for the
Ma'am,
next
should I
one.
read?
Yes, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Shivansh.
The Jain temple in Bhaji was beautiful in the sunlight against the clear blue skies. The Kalash demo is
No.
made dem,
Dome, it is
Domi.
dome.
Domi is made
Dome.
from a special kind of milky white marbles and weather more than 3 tons. The marble was been covered with pure gold.
Pure gold.
Excuse me, that is covered in pure gold?
Yep.
Are you
Yes,
kidding?
pure gold.
I kind of wondered why they would cover beautiful marble